You say often that you ask the question as part of your explanation: can something come out of nothing? No, it can't. But isn't that what happens? That out of nothing, everything comes. All patterns and images come. In fact,
come on, Donna, give us some.
Well, I was quiet because of the no thing, the nothingness. Because for me, at the very depth of that, it's not empty. It's actually love. There's it's not blank. It's I think a lot of the things that I hear, it sounds like it's zippo, nothing, but there's this, and it's not an experience. It's just all love, loving to be. So in that sense, it's not empty or blank. No. And it's love expressing as everything. Mm-hmm. But, love, you can't see under a microscope, like you said. You can't catch it. You can't hold on to it. It just is. And it's that aha moment. But for me, at the depth of that, what appears to be blank or nothing, it's love expressing as everything. And my sense was that awareness, that empty space of awareness is infused, as you said, with intelligence and love and energy. They're not separate at all. But and because it's not separate, it's not a thing. It's not something you can physically grasp and hold on to. But they're not separate either. There's not awareness and there's not loving to be and. It's the same. I call it like the Big Bang. Yeah. There's the awareness and the loving to be. They're one and the same. They're never separate.
Yeah. That's what I say. It's absolute. There is absolutely no duality in non-duality.
Yeah.
Absolutely none whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. But when we talk about it, because we have to use words, it sounds like we're talking about things and blank or the empty void and no things. But words just are so, it boggles my mind how futile it almost seems to try to express this, because words are so limiting. Bob, I just look at people like yourself and Kat that just have this beautiful gift to point to that so effortlessly and try and, help people conceptually until that recognition arises for themselves. So many thanks to your beautiful gifts that consciousness is expressing as you two.
Go to yourself, Donna. You are absolutely gorgeous and brilliant. So effortlessly, and such an important aspect that just flowing out of you, just gorgeous. It's such a gift to have you on board.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's there in every one of you.
Yeah. And what you say, Donna, gosh, it's just so, you're so right. One word, like, how can you give that absolute in one single emptiness or no thing?
Mm-hmm.
It's always
like,
yeah.
When that understanding comes, as you said, it's non-conceptual.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it just blows, the mind doesn't blow up, but it's like there's all these little holes in the mind. Mm. And that understanding just shines right through it. And it's so bright that the mind just can't even compare. It just disappears in that. Mm. It just can't contain this. It just cannot. It's not possible. Mm. And if you feel like giving up and it's like, oh my God, my mind and I can't get it and screw this and I'm done, and you slam your computer lid down. I've heard enough. No more books. Stop already. To me, that's such a blessing. Some people are like, I'm useless. I'm a failure, but what a great place to be. Like, finally, you're not listening to all that talk up there. That's like you said, Bob, it's not in the mind.
No.
Thank goodness. Because it would be so limited if it was. It's just like, that would be boring.
And then you said, right, that's a good way of expressing it. Self-shining. Mm-hmm. You put the polish on a bit of a a dull brass or something, it'll shine, it'll be bright, shine. Right.
I mean, if you had to think about every little thing that's happening right now, you know, Bob, when you talk about the breathing and the digestion happening by itself, and if you were to take everything that the seeings, you know, everything that's appearing in the seeing and the hearing and the feeling, the mind couldn't grasp that. There's just no way. There's no way that you could know exactly each cell and each movement and each thing that's happening to make that what you're seeing happen and what you're hearing happen and what the body's experiencing. It's so complex and it's so huge. You were in charge of every cell and of every movement. All of this is just happening. It's just a happening. And, you know, so you can literally see when the mind tries to get on, it's like putting your finger in a fan blade. You know, it's like, ay, 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 ay. You know, every time you try to grasp what this is with the mind, it should be frustrating and it should irritate you because you can't. So it's so much better to just notice that it's all happening on its own. Don't try and understand it. And just recognize that you're the awareness of it. And that's plenty. That's plenty. Just stay in that simplicity. That's perfect place to start. I went through a period of what I would call 4 years of the most delicious bliss. I was just happy, 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 and just saw love everywhere. And it was just growing exponentially, and just, and then it went away. And oh my gosh, it was just so awful. And I got angry and bitter, and I wanted that love and, you know, all these things, you know, your love and your peace and your, you know, all these things that teachers that I was listening to then were saying, that's what you should be feeling. And if you're not, you're doing something wrong. Something's wrong with you. And then I came upon the teachings of non-duality, and the recognition came that awareness, that empty space like the sky that is aware, that bliss can come, anything can come and go to include that bliss. But I always remained that empty awareness of it all, the open, you know, awareness. And it was, but it's never empty. The sky's never, that sky, that awareness is never truly empty. But it contains and expresses as everything, good and bad, blissful, not blissful. And that was such a relief, because I was in so much misery after having that joy leave, that it was, oh my gosh. But now it's I don't expect it. I don't have that expectation. I'm not looking for that, because I know that I'm that untouched infinite awareness, no matter what's coming and going. Even this body, you know, the birth and death of this body won't touch it either.
And that's the freedom. That's the freedom, because chasing pleasure, and of course bliss or spiritual awakening or the love, it kind of feels like this is the much more noble pleasure, that now you know, look, this is different, you gotta chase. No, if you are chasing, you straight away create separation, you create division. And there is you chasing it.
And here I am yelling at a God, you mother, you know, I was so mad. Like, why did you take this from me, you cruel, you know, just evil. This is just, how cruel can you be to just give this to me and take it, and you wave a carrot in my face, and now you're like, no, now you can't have it. I was so mad. Oh my gosh. I'm just glad I didn't hurt anybody in the process. I was just like, oh, but then what's that?
I'm glad you didn't hurt yourself, because I know people who were addicted to that sort of light energy, and when that one was gone, they were gone. They would check out.
Absolutely. And believe me, I wanted to check out often. I didn't want to kill myself, because I don't want to do, you know, I don't like causing harm to myself or others, but I wanted off the planet. I wanted this to stop, because it just, what was the point? You know, what was, why am I here? If I can't have that, what's the point? You know? And then when the recognition of the awareness and that empty awareness where all of this is coming and going, that there was a peace that came with that. and it wasn't a conceptual peace, but it was a pure, simple joy and peace of being. And once that started to manifest more, and it seemed like a process, but once that seeing came that I was always that and I always will be that, then it really truly didn't matter what came and went in this play of duality.
Yeah, that's the freedom. When you stop chasing bliss, it comes up as a byproduct.
Yeah, it's a way of putting it.
Donna, can I just make a quick comment on something you said there? If I'm not mistaken, I believe Mother Teresa had a similar experience about God leaving her for a certain period of time. And there was this period of, well, you know, great sadness. So I just wanted to put that forward. You might like to look at that.
I have, and I've heard many, many, many other stories similar to mine.
Yeah.
And it used to really piss me off because the teachers would say, well, just let that go. That comes and goes too. And I'm like, because I'm not letting that go. That was juicy.
Yeah.
And it was the best, nothing compared to that experience on planet Earth. And I'm like, you'd be a fool to not want that. What person wouldn't want that at all times in their life? And just say, oh, yeah, go ahead and take it. I just thought, that's insane. And I wouldn't listen. I was like, nope, you're wrong. And then suddenly the recognition, started coming, and it wasn't instant, but I kept getting glimpses, and that awareness. And then that finally was like, oh, that's what they meant. Even that comes and goes. But in the depth of that awareness is the love and the peace and the joy that surpasses even that. It's not the fireworks and the this huge love. It's just this quiet, burning, steady sense that it always is and always will be. So
if I just can ask, that experience that you've just expanded on a little bit further, would you describe that as one of the runs in the ladder?
I'm sorry, that what?
Would you describe that experience that you have spoken about tonight as one of the runs in the ladder? You know, that wonderful feeling of ecstasy and for 4 years or so on and so on, and then it was taken away. Would you describe that as one of the rungs of the ladder to something else?
Rungs in the ladder.
Yeah. Sorry. It's a difference between our accents.
What's he saying?
Yeah, right.
I can't really say, because each person's experiences and understandings that come to each person, it's so unique. So to try and follow in the footsteps or say it's like this or that, there's really no rules, because every teacher I've ever heard has a totally different story, but the pointing ends up at the same place, so to speak.
Okay.
It's always pointing at the same thing. So I wouldn't hold on to that, but for me, it was part of what we would call the process to find out I'm already what I'm looking for. So
sure. Thank you.
There is no self. In love, there is the object of worship and nothing else. So that selflessness, which is associated with love, that's why all the bhakti paths have such a popularity.
Because I remember I had a guru for a while, then I had these experiences and I couldn't talk to the guru about it, and then I met another guru, and I was very devoted. I loved bhakti. It was absolutely amazing. In fact, I felt that with the 12-step program. I gave my life to a higher power, and like you said, that I was so willing to give this self up because I couldn't manage my life, that's for sure. And that was through Al-Anon. So, but anyway, that sense of devotion when I got involved in the non-duality pointings, and I was listening to a fellow named Muji, and I thought, oh, here's, I'm familiar with this, the devotion and the bowing and kissing of feet and all that. And I thought I could do this. And I couldn't do it. It's like, oh my God, I just want to sit with the guy and have a beer, and talk over a meal. Like, there's no way I could do that devotion thing again. It just wasn't coming up. And I was trying to make it happen and relive it because it was so wonderful when I had it before. And I thought that my path had shifted, my expression had shifted. And I, because it's hard to see that we're constantly changing and shifting, and you want to hold on to those things that worked. And it wasn't working for me anymore. I want to be able to sit with somebody that was accessible, that I could talk to immediately, face to face, you know, have a beer, you know, share a meal, and just be a person, be equals. I didn't want to do the worship thing anymore, but that's not to say that I didn't enjoy it thoroughly while it was happening.
Mm.
It was a great experience. I really enjoyed it very much. But then there just came a point where I wasn't enjoying it anymore.
Yeah, I get it. You can't make yourself believe in inequality and separation anymore, and that's wonderful.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I never had an experience of worshiping a man.
A fellow we're selling T-shirts and we're using quotes and stuff, and he said, "You know, I can't do this anymore because I feel guilty that I'm using phrases from holy people, and some of the diagrams that they're of Saint Francis and Jesus." And he says, I feel guilty using these holy scriptures and people to make a profit. And I said, I don't, you know, because I don't look at anybody holier than me anymore. We're all the same. That's what I told him. And I go, and secondly, my brother's a priest and he's got a gift shop in his church. And I'm telling you, they have more trinkets in there and they don't feel guilty about making a profit. So I said, I still want my money. So he's donating his profit to charity. And and I said, I don't want it. I'm not on board with that.